we are going to talk about tight ends, everyone's favorite, and how to acquire elite ones. Well, let's talk about some elite tight ends. As in the past 3 weeks, the teams are going to start out the same. We got me and Chev to start, and then we got Nate and Pork to start, and then we are going to switch it up. Let's get into the first one. We have Kyle Pitts, the at one point supposed consensus 101 in Superflex leagues or any league format, if you remember hearing about that. So Chev and I have him, and Nate and Pork are trying to acquire him. So gentlemen, what is your terrible initial offer?
Yeah, so, we're like, we might as well grab Kyle Pitts. Why not?
Right.
We'll see what happens. He fits our timeline. We have the 104 because, we didn't have the best team this year, and that's why we kind of want Kyle Pitts. We have a bunch of guys just like him. We didn't score a bunch of fantasy points. So we'll give you the 104, and we'll give you Hollywood Brown, who, hey, D-Hop's leaving. D-Hop's on his way out.
Wide receiver 1 for your team.
Not meaning very much for the Cardinals here, though.
Yeah, who's going to throw him the ball until like December?
David
McSorley.
Gardner Minshew.
Oh, Gardner Minshew would be fun. I would love that. I would love to have Gardner Minshew. That'd be great.
Exactly.
You just know how to hit me in my soft spot, don't you?
Hey, Gardner Minshew throwing to Marquise Brown sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Putting my personal bias aside and thinking about what's best for my fantasy team makes me think that this probably isn't a very good deal. The 104 has some allure to it, but Hollywood Brown, do we really want Hollywood Brown? You're closer to the Cardinals than anyone here. You would know.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been a up and down season for Hollywood. There were some games where he had 10 receptions. There's games where he had 1 or 2 receptions and he just went missing. He's just nowhere to be found. I actually don't hate this offer. I think if I got somebody a little bit more established than Marquise Brown in an offense where I could actually count on him, I think I'd be fine with the 104 and blank. I think I could be persuaded to take the deal, honestly, because the 104 in a super flex, that's going to be a good pick in my opinion. I think that's one of the top 4 guys, and then I think it goes down a little bit after that. But I think if you guys switch Marquise Brown out with somebody, I think I could be moving off of Kyle Pitts. What do you say, Mike?
I'm okay with that. And, it's one of those things where now might be the time to buy Kyle Pitts. He's probably presumed as one of the biggest busts of the 2022 season. Yeah, what kind of more established wide receiver were you thinking? Or is there another tight end, like one that's not on this list? Maybe add another pick on top of this, a younger guy.
We're giving you the 104. We're trying to get younger here, right? Even though we're giving you the 104 because we really want Kyle Pitts. So we might want to offload some talent. You might want fantasy points. You're getting the 104, so you already got that youth that you're replacing. Mm-hmm. And we can give you fantasy points. We got somebody on our team, produces pretty well. Everyone likes this guy, but doesn't really fit our timeline. How about the 104 and Terry McLaurin?
I mean, even though there's quarterback questions in Washington, Terry McLaurin's always been a consistent producer. He's always been fairly healthy. I mean, he's battled through some stuff. Yeah. Every NFL player does. Admittedly, I like that better than I like the 104 and Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, I think I do too. I don't even have a problem with Terry McLaurin. I have a problem with how everybody evaluates Terry McLaurin. Like everybody puts him in a tier, like a top 12 wide receiver in the NFL, and it just hasn't happened. I think that's my real problem with Terry McLaurin. I don't hate that though. I think that's a good deal. Kyle Pitts going into his 3rd year, which we know is a big year for tight ends. So we could be getting off a little too early, but I think to get the 104, which probably is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs or one of the quarterbacks, I imagine, and get a solid wide receiver 1 in Washington, which they're probably looking to get a different QB. I know Sam Howell's been said to be the starter, but I'm not sure how much I believe that.
Well, for reference, Terry McLaurin did finish the season as wide receiver 19, and this is in a full PPR setting, just so we could get some numbers on it. He did have 1,117 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns. I'm fine with that, even though he's a little bit older than Hollywood. I'm okay with that deal personally.
Yeah, it works for me. I think it's a solid, fair deal there.
Oh, this is going to be a tough one right here. Chev and I.
This ain't happening, man.
Go to the next guy.
Nate and Pork, they currently roster Mark Andrews. Look at that. Nate rostering a Ravens player. And
imagine that.
Chev and I are going to acquire him with this deal that's an overpay. Chev, we got to stop being so generous on our first offer, man. This is some BS.
We're just nice people. That's all I got to say.
We are. We're very good people. I don't know what to say. So we're going to give them, oh my God, Chef, I gotta stop letting you send offers. Greg Dulcich, the 2023 111 and a 24 first, which is projected to be late because our team is fire.
It's very true.
So gentlemen, should we sign off on this? You gonna do it, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Nate take this one because I know this is his guy, but I already know this is a hell no.
A great deal.
You become better than this.
Late firsts? You got 2 late firsts in there? Like, you got to get me excited if I'm going to move Mark Andrews. You know, when you have studs, you got to get people excited to move off of them.
My worry is, Mark Andrews going to be 28 next year. Do we really know if Lamar's actually going to sign back? Which I think Mark Andrews is okay without him, but
I think so
still
too.
leaves some uncertainty.
But let's take that out of the equation right now, okay? How about this? Okay, so let's get rid of Dulcich. Dulcich is a me guy anyway. You don't want Dulcich. We can do better than that. Say we keep the picks in there, right? And let's upgrade the tight end position. So those 2 picks, 24 first, the 111, and Cole Kmet.
Ooh, see?
There you go.
See, we know each other all around here too well.
This is why it's important to know your league mates because you can get things done. It's Cole Kmet, the 111, and a 24 first. It's 2 first-round picks.
Yep. It's certainly a downgrade, but we're acquiring 2 picks, 2 first-round picks.
Here's the thing.
Porkman?
I'm just real quick. I'm looking at the way tight ends finished last year, and there's a lot of guys finished ahead of Cole Kmet that I could easily say will not do that next year. Juwan Johnson, I'd say, because there's a lot of question marks there. Taysom Hill is in front of him. Tyler Higbee is getting older. And then Evan Engram, do you think he'll be tight end 5 again?
Possible. No.
Probably
it's
not.
Possible, but probably
who knows
not.
Where he goes.
Cole Kmet finishing at tight end 11, I see him. There's a potential where we're talking top 7-ish. So you're getting younger. You're still getting a top prospect here for your tight end room. We're getting older, but we want to win now. That's why we have the 111, not the 112. We had that missing piece. So let's do this.
I think with the development of Justin Fields next year with his passing, I think with Kmet in that offense, I think that's actually a good baseline for a kind of a downgrade, but kind of saying maybe taking a tier or 2 down from an Andrews to a Kmet. We'll get more touchdown upside in that case with Fields getting better. And we're getting the 2 picks on top of that. So if you're fine with that, Nate, I'm perfectly fine with taking a
I think if we're looking at retooling our roster a little bit, this is a great move to make. I think we tear down. I like Cole Kmet. I like him still. I liked him all year. And 2 firsts, even though one's projected late, one is late. Still first-round picks, man. You can still get some good talent at the end of the first. This year I was picking up Jahan Dotson everywhere in the first round at the very end of the draft. There's always talent. We got some running backs this year that can be picked up at the 111. So we can do this.
All right. Winner, chicken dinner. So look at that. We just got Mark Andrews ticker tape championship parade coming your way. Let's go to the next one. And by we, I mean Chev and I currently roster Travis Kelce. 33.3 years old, and Nate and Pork are going to try to acquire him. So, gentlemen, what you got?
Pork man, how much Hennessy did you have when you sent this trade?
I had about 2-3 shots, and I was just looking through this, and I was like, wow, let's just make this deal.
This is our team where actually we have a good team.
Yeah, great.
We have a good team, and Porkman, had a couple shots, the other night, and he sent over, hey, he wants Travis Kelce. He's going to give you guys Pat Freiermuth and the 108.
108. Pat Freiermuth is a stud. We know Mike loves himself some Patty.
Yeah.
So just accept the deal, and we can get moving to the next one.
Chev, why don't you educate these gentlemen for me?
I'm gonna be honest. I really don't hate it too much. If I had to say so, I mean, but I honestly think now is the time to move on from Kelce. I think this is a good spot for us to move away. 108 still it's super flex. I mean, there's still going to be plenty of good prospects there. We like Freiermuth. Is there a tight end or a player you want over Freiermuth, Mike, or where are you at?
I just feel like look, Pat Freiermuth is great. Kenny Pickett's going to keep getting better in the offense. The Pittsburgh Steelers always have good wide receivers, which can minimize the impact that a tight end could have. We've seen it before. And the 108, we've seen that before too, where that could be a very boomer bust pick. You never really know. The fact of the matter is, if I'm moving someone like Travis Kelce, I'd rather have him die on my roster than move him for a lot of uncertainty, which is what this is. Whereas I like both of those things, but I want guarantees when I'm moving a player like Travis Kelce.
What if it was Goddard?
Now I'm interested because we see, and this is not just my Eagles fandom speaking here, we saw that Dallas Goedert, when he was on the field, was a focal point of that offense, even with A.J. Brown, even with Devonta Smith, even with Miles Sanders rushing for over 1,000 yards, even with Jalen Hurts running. Dallas Goedert was still a focal point of the offense. So if it was Goddard in the 108, I'm all in. And again, that's not because I'm an Eagles fan. That's just me being realistic here.
Except for, I don't think if we're going to give you Goddard, we're not going to give you a first-round pick on top of it. Because Kelce's 33 years old.
Goddard's 28. I'm going to be 29, so.
Travis
Kelce
got
5 more years then.
Maybe.
Also,
not everybody's Kelce, Nate. Let's not play that.
I mean, Travis Kelce might have 5 more years too. The dude just caught 104 passes for 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns at age 33. I mean, this is guys amazing. And like I said, he's a guy where if I can't get fair value, he could die on my roster.
And there's nobody else to throw to really there that's just been established this season. Like Juju hasn't been in games sometimes. I mean, Valdez-Scantling, they seem like they want to give him the ball and he doesn't do crap. So it's literally him and Jerick McKinnon and Noah Gray. No, I'm just kidding. Running that team right now.
He's there. He's just not doing it anymore.
He's good for 1 catch and 24 yards. I'll call it.
I mean, if I'm going to give you Dallas Goedert, I think that's a straight up swap, to be quite honest, because it's just getting younger. Because, Goddard doesn't have Kelce numbers, but Goddard had a really good fantasy year. I mean, he missed a couple games, but if he didn't miss those games, obviously he's not Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's production over the last couple of years has been just absolutely bonkers. And we keep saying, hey, this is the last year it's going to happen. I mean, it sounds like it's probably going to happen again next year because he's going to keep doing it. But I don't have confidence that 3 years from now he's going to be doing it. I have pretty good confidence that Dallas Goedert's going to be doing it 3 years from now. Now, if we're trying to, win next year, I can see the Dallas Goedert to Travis Kelce swap. I think we're still just fine holding on to Dallas Goedert. I don't think we need to make that move. I think Kelce's a hard guy to buy right now. Not because he's not good, not because he's not going to produce in my team, but am I looking at a 1-year rental? He's proven us wrong each year so far. But at some point, it's got to end. I mean, whether or not he just stops being good or he decides to go out on top. He might be able to play for another 5 years. Does he want to play for another 5 years?
With Mahomes, hell yeah, I would. Right. I'm just saying. I mean, that guy's going to give you passes after passes, dimes after dimes. Like, I think this brings up Mike's point. Like, I'm fine with him dying on my roster now.
I think that's best, probably.
It's the best case scenario because he's such a positional advantage. Like Dallas Goedert, he had a good season, probably like tight end 11, tight end 12 with the injuries, but maybe like 160 points, and Kelce probably had like 250 or something crazy. That's a 100-point swing.
All right, so
I think you just have to let him die in your roster at this point.
You have to.
So here's the deal. Goddard, tight end 12, missed some time, 130.6 points, 11.9 fantasy points per game. Travis Kelce, 306.5 fantasy points in a PPR format, 19.2 fantasy points per game.
It's crazy, man.
So this is the deal. I would just rather keep Travis Kelce at this point. And look,
that's understandable.
This goes to show you don't have to force every deal. Sometimes no deal is the best move for both teams. So
if you're not competing, though, you got to find a way.
Well, then, yes, of course.
Yeah, because I just don't feel like Pork and I can give you the value that you need to move off of Travis Kelce without hurting our team.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. So George Kittle. So Nate and Pork, they currently roster George Kittle. He's 29.3 years old. So he's getting up there as well. Personally, I'd rather have Kelce than Kittle, even though he's like 4 years older. Kelce's played more. He's more consistent. Kittle's always banged up. So here is our starting offer. Oh, man. Chev, stop throwing out these overpaying offers. So in a 1-quarterback league, we're starting 10 people. We will give you the 112 and a 24 second for George Kittle. Deal. Done. Boom. Gone. Bye. One to our team.
This one's kind of tough because for me, I'm a big George Kittle fan, but at some points I do want to offload him because of his injury history. So in this case, I think I'm okay with this deal. I kind of maybe want like another like a mid-tier type of tight end in that deal just to make it right so it can kind of fix what we got just so we can continue to contend. What was you thinking, Nate? Because I'm thinking I just need another type of tight end in this deal to make this work.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right there. I don't know if we can ask for the 112 and a second and another tight end because it's a one quarterback league. The 112 isn't a ton of value. It's still a first round. I'm not trying to downplay a first round.
Yeah, I would keep that 112 and probably kick that 24 second.
Yeah, so we could do the 112. I know Mike likes Greg Dulcich, but we could try to get a guy like that off his roster. Maybe someone slightly above Greg Dulcich level. But really, I think George Kittle, he has those big games, and he's really shown it off recently. He's had some huge games. I'm not sure he's a guy that I'm super excited to be acquiring. So I think this is kind of good value both ways. Both ways. This is not a tight end premium league, so I think a late first and something on top is good value. Equivalent of a second. We could ask for maybe a downgrade at the tight end position, but I'm rather okay with this. The 112 and the 24 second. If it was like the 110, that'd be even better. But
if they would throw in if they had like a Trey McBride, I would take that. I guess a throw in type of tight end.
So you're talking both picks and a Trey McBride?
Yeah.
I would be okay with that, Chev.
He's probably under taxi still, so.
Yeah. Would you be cool with that, Chev?
Yeah, I think it's worth it to do that. I'm on the same side as Nate, honestly, with George Kittle. Like, I honestly think I would want to be selling than buying at the moment, just because of the uncertainty with that offense moving forward. You don't know who's going to be QB. And I think he's a little bit TD dependent too, some games. Like, if he doesn't get a touchdown, then we're looking at tight end 20 sometimes. Like, he just doesn't get the ball. So I think it's a fair deal. Adding McBride, I think we can make it work.
Perfect. Deal. Done. So we got the last one, TJ Hockenson, who appears to be the youngest person. I'm sorry, Kyle Pitts was the youngest. Hockenson at 25 and a half years old. We roster him. Gentlemen, you're trying to acquire him. You are trying to acquire the guy who finished as the tight end 2 on the season. So sharpen your pencils, gentlemen. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so we want TJ, and we're willing to offer you straight up the 110. Because, hey, we're a championship roster just missing a tight end.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to stay that way.
Yeah. I love TJ Hockenson, man. The way he finished this season, like, it's a guy you have to have on your roster if you're a contender, because we see Travis Kelce is like above and beyond. But if you can have a TJ Hockenson or a George Kittle when he's playing good, like, that is huge for your team. And I love what I see out of Minnesota. He's getting 10 targets a game. Like, why not keep the guy, Mike?
Yeah, for the 110, again, like Nate said before, it's a late first round pick, and it's still a first, but it's a late first. Still uncertainty with that pick. I would rather just keep TJ Hockenson at that point.
Super flex at least. I think super flex 110 definitely adds some more value.
Yeah, even if we know we're getting like Michael Mayer, still it's going to be some time to get the TJ Hockenson production, which could never come. You never know with these guys. So yeah, I would just keep him at this point, honestly.
All right. So Pork. So we need to add something to the 110. And, I think we can add on to the 110. Give him another asset, and that should be helpful. So what about some like kind of wide receivers that we can kind of throw in there? Not quite a throw in, but a little bit more value than that. A name off the top of my head. I don't know if you're interested in making this move, but Romeo Doubs, maybe a guy like that we're throwing in there.
I think we might need a little bit more because he was a little bit inconsistent at that case. I would probably maybe, if you want to throw in if we really want him, like a Brandon Ayuk, we can throw a Brandon Ayuk in the 110 for TJ Hockenson.
They would love that if we did that.
Because if we need the tight end because we're talking about a tight end, the tight end scarcity in fantasy. We need this, so we're going to have to pay up to get what we need. So I think if we was to throw in an Ayuk in the 110, I think they would take that.
I feel like that's if this was a tight end premium, maybe we're talking something different, but I think that's a lot to give up for TJ Hockenson, for any tight end, really.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ayuk is a top guy, right? I mean, he's producing really well right now.
Since week 5, he was like a top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah. But I think so say for instance, we asked this if he didn't get traded with Detroit. I think the 110 for Hockenson probably would have been like right on cue. But ever since he went to Minnesota, got them targets.
But he did.
His value. I know his value just shot straight up. So I think we have to slightly overpay for it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
yeah.
I think
you're right.
I think we probably do. What about maybe a maybe more exciting wide receiver like Wan'Dale Robinson?
I just got less excited.
More excited.
Excited.
or about like a Christian Kirk maybe? Would that do it for you?
Christian Kirk's going to have some competition next year with Calvin Ridley coming in, So I like Christian Kirk, but that doesn't move the needle for me as much as Brandon Ayuk does.
I personally think they're holding out for too much value, but I'm also down on TJ Hockenson overall, even though he did have a really good year. I've just never been a huge fan of TJ Hockenson, so I'm just going to have a bit harder time here. So, Pork, I'm going to let you lead the rest of the negotiations.
Very good.
So I brought up Ayuk. I know that kind of moved the needle for you guys, so you can move off of the tight end, so we can get him, so we can win more leagues. I know me and Nate like to win a lot. So will that do it for you?
I'm okay with that if Chev is.
Yeah, we can do that. I honestly, if Christian Kirk in the 110 was offered, I think I could be persuaded to move off him too.
I mean, Nate did say that before. I'm thinking about it a little bit more. Another year with Trevor Lawrence than the Doug Peterson system. I think I could get on board with that too.
I think we could probably also do Brandon Ayuk. If we went to percent of this around Brandon Ayuk, I think fair value would be Brandon Ayuk and maybe like a mid-second.
I'll take Christian Kirk in the 110.
Yeah, I'll take Christian Kirk in the 110.
We'll do the Christian Kirk one then.
All right.
There we go.
Winner.